It's time for Design Appeal.
It's almost Christmas and there isn't a whole lot of time left to take advantage of a tax credit for energy efficiency. Joe Marinello of Nescor is here to give you the lowdown. Hey Joe, it's a $1,500 tax credit.
Correct.
What is it? What do you need to do to get it?
You need to make your home a little bit more energy efficient.
Okay,
Yeah.
and how can we do that?
Insulating, windows, doors, change your furnace, change your light bulbs, all the different things you could do to reduce your energy bills.
So there's all kinds of different things we can do. Nescor, you guys do windows and insulation and things like that.
Yeah, the most effective way to do it, obviously, is to insulate the building envelope.
Okay.
You're going to get minimal savings from changing appliances or lighting, things like that. But
Okay.
if you're keeping the heat in your house, that's really where most of your fuel is used.
Right, now you mentioned the building envelope. What is that? What do you mean when?
Well, your attic, your basement, and the walls of your house have to trap that heat. Your furnace kicks on. You only use energy when your furnace goes on. If your furnace came on and all the heat just stayed in your house forever, it would only have to kick on once.
Oh, good. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, then you wouldn't spend anything on fuel. But the more times that fuel leaves your house, the more times it's got to kick on.
Now we can, and there's all kinds of different ways to do that. A lot of it being insulation, like in your roof and in the walls. You brought some insulation here.
Yeah, when your house is built, the builder will use about that much insulation.
Okay.
Maybe an R19 if you're lucky. Some people add a little bit more. But when you look at the Department of Energy chart on their website, they're looking in New England, we're in Zone 1, for really an R49 to R60, which is really that much insulation that you should have in your attic.
Okay, and you're using the numbers R15, 49, 60. That's the amount of insulation.
Yeah, R value measures how long it takes the heat to come out the other side of the insulation.
Gotcha.
So the more you stack up, the longer it takes to saturate it and start coming out.
Okay. Now, does the difference in color here make a difference, or
No.
we're just it's the same stuff, just as much as you can
Owens
get?
Corning actually trademarked the color pink.
Oh, really? So nobody
you'll
else can use pink?
Right.
Ah,
Yeah,
I didn't.
so that just
I
means
see
it's
that.
Owens Corning.
Oh, okay.
So what we would do is on top of that is put the radiant barrier, which I think I've shown on the show before. That goes right on top of the insulation, and that traps the heat, so it doesn't come out the other side.
And this is basically just...
It's a Mylar-based product. It's reflective in nature, so it reflects heat back to its source.
Okay.
So, instead of the heat coming out the other side of the insulation, we can kind of keep it in, just like a baked potato.
It does its best to keep it in. So you could actually make a baked potato with this?
You could.
I don't know if you'd want to. It might be an expensive baked potato. But that radiant barrier also extends to windows.
Yes. Well, it's the same technology. It's a reflective technology. If you were able to see through this, it'd be a clear film, which we actually have in the middle of all of our windows. So in the sashes, there's the glass, and then in the middle is the gas and the film. So this actually reflects the heat, keeps it in your house in the wintertime.
Okay, so it's essentially this stuff made clear.
Yes.
And holding it in there. Wow, that's really cool. And the better it seals everywhere, the more heat stays in your home, the less heat gets out.
Yeah, I mean, our manufacturer is actually doing, in the middle of doing the Empire State Building right now. That's a $13 million project.
That was a lot of windows. 6,500
units, big glass windows. They expect to save $4.4 million a year on their fuel costs. So it's a $13 million project, and 38% fuel savings by changing to this glass.
Yep, and if you do the math, 4.4 million goes into 13 million 3 times?
3 years. Yeah, it'll pay itself back in 3 years.
Wow, which is essentially why the government is offering this tax credit?
Yeah, there's 45 million homes that are under-insulated. When President Obama came into office in 2009, he added to the stimulus package $1,500 for every home that upgrades their insulation. It's 2 years later now, so there's 11 more days until that expires, and it goes away. So the $1,500 has been allocated for everyone's home, and they're going to use it or lose it in the next 11 days.
Right, now how do we go about making sure we can claim that our portion of the $1,500?
We just give you a statement and you attach it to your tax return. I think it's IRS 5695 is the form number, but on irs.gov, you download the form, attach it to your tax return, and they'll up your refund by $1,500.
Now you mentioned there's 11 more days to do it.
Yes.
Is that possible?
Yes.
How do I make sure that it's possible?
See us right away, because we have to get windows on order. We got to do it pretty quickly. But we can come and do this next day installation. So we'll definitely get you in before December 31st, and you can claim the tax credit.
And it's just that easy. You've also got a special deal at Nescor when it comes to the $1,500 tax credit. Yeah,
if you want to replace more than 6 windows, you don't have to do your whole house. You just have to do a couple to get started if you want. But if you do more than 6, we'll match the tax credit and you'll get a $3,000 savings.
Up to a $3,000 savings.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, the $1,500 tax credit, can you just claim part of that?
Yeah, it's 30% of the price of the job up until $1,500. So
oh, okay. So depending on how much you're able to replace, depends on how much money you'd actually come back with.
Yes.
Very cool, Joe. Thank you so much. So get down to Nescor, because they're going to help you get this $1,500 that the government has said we've got this for everybody. All they've got to do is make the fix. Now, what are some of the cool windows that we've got that you can talk about here?
Well, you saw a picture window. That's a casement. Those are the ones that crank out. We have bay windows. That's a bay window, which means it has a big picture window in the middle. It's got a seat that you can stain any color. That's a bow window, which means that all the panels are the same size, and that could be as big as possible for an opening. So there's many different types, garden windows, patio doors. People don't realize the patio door is really the biggest window in your house.
Right.
So even if you did all your windows, you didn't do your patio doors yet, you can get $1,500 towards, if you have 2 patio doors, just changing those.
And right, because they really are a big window. You'd never think of that as being a window.
Right, they're one of the least efficient windows that you have in your house, but people don't think of them as windows.
Right, because they think of it as a door.
Right.
Joe, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Get out there, claim your tax credit. So for more information, or you can get started in claiming that tax credit, you can visit nescornow.com, or you can call them at 888-NESCOR-1.